Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're addressing an issue that I've had for a long time with Ableton, and that is the fact that if you have a delay and you have a very long feedback and you press play, have the feedback ring out a little bit and then you press pause, it does not stop the delay. There's no way to just cut all of the sound in Ableton. So I've devised a little bit of a workaround, and in the process I've also upped the way that I'm using delays, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey guys, I quickly wanted to say that my second masterclass is out now on my Gumroad. It's about 24 hours of edited footage of me making the track that you're listening to right now. So go check it out if you're interested. So here's a project that I've been working on for the afternoon now. I spent a little bit of time on stream. I'm recording this just after the stream in which I made this project. Not the whole project, but a large part of this project. I already started on it and then I just decided to stream this. And while on stream, I showed off a few of the things that I've been experimenting with, as well as making a rack that actually does what I wanted to do. So let's have a listen at this project. As you can hear, when I pause it, the delay immediately stops, even though there's a lot of delay on these sounds here. So the way that this works is through this rack. As you can see, there's a big rack that I've set up right here, where there's a lot of mapping possibilities. You can see a lot of the maps have already been made, but later on I have more places where I can map things to. And this rack works in the way that all of these multis are kind of like chained together. So this one also maps to the input of the next one. That means that this rack is infinitely extendable, but I just set it up to have a whole bunch of different multis already in there, so I can easily map to one of these multis as long as they're available. So in essence, what this rack does is it's a playing detector. What it does is it detects if you are playing the track or not. And the way that it does it is by looking into the track here. As you can see, we just have a sample here. This is just some white noise and this is called play detection. This is just there not to be placed into the track. As you can see, the track itself is disabled, so it's not adding to the production that you're doing. It's just there to detect if the project is playing or not. The way that I'm doing it is through this envelope follower. As you can see, if I press play, the envelope follower will go up, and if I pause, it will go down again. So this information can then be used to create a system that automatically allows you to turn off delays when you're pausing. So let's follow what's actually going on. This envelope follower is setting the select here, which selects between these two values. Now these two values can be either 1 or 0, 1 meaning the delays are on and 0 meaning the delays are off. In this case, if we press it, you can see the select will go to the second one, going from 0 to 1. I also have this button here, which I will link in the description to. This is a Max for Live device, which is really neat. It's just one button as a macro, but it's very useful for control surfaces like these. And as you can see, if I press this button, it will actually set this value to 0 as well, meaning that the delays will always be off. You can hear we have no delays in the track right now. Then there's this autoplay. This toggles between the functionality of actually turning off the delays when you're not playing and not doing that. So if I leave this off, then the delays will just continue to play as normal behavior. You can hear the delays are delaying out. If I turn this on, then that's not the case. So that's how it's controlled. The way that this works is that this is selecting a map right here. You can see what's happening. If I turn this off to minimal, it will stay always at 100 and therefore they will stay always on. Now this is mapped to another button. This is the same type of button. The reason why I did that is that it's a nice visual indication of what is happening. You can see it's turning on and off. This is then mapped to the first multi, which maps it to both inputs 1 and 0, and these then chain together into the next one, leaving you with 2 extra slots where you can actually map different delays to. So that's the device explained very quickly. Now if you want to use this device as well as the next device that I'll be talking about, then make sure that you go to my Patreon, because I will be giving them out to all of my Patreon members. You just need to make sure that you have this button Max for Live device as well as all of these multi devices which come from the Dark Integer mod pack. I will link both of those Max for Live devices down below. Actually the mod pack is a whole pack of Max for Live devices with a whole bunch of different ones in there, including this select right here. But that's a package, and I will leave just the whole package down below so you can get the whole package. So this is a very interesting method. It only requires that every time you add a delay into one of your tracks, say for example that I have a new synth in here and I sound design something, and at some point I decide, oh, I'm going to need an echo. What I now need to do is I need to scroll up, go in here, go to a free mapping, for example this one, and then I scroll down again and map to the echo. That way it's part of the device and it will interact just like all of the other ones, turning off whenever you pause. So that solved one of my major issues that I've had with delays for a long time within Ableton, and that is that in some cases they can just ring on for a long time. In some cases I like to use delays which have a feedback of 100%, so that I can control just the volume of the delay and don't have to worry about the delay automatically going down in volume over time due to the feedback. But I've also always had problems with that approach as well. Usually what happens is that it doesn't really reset, and therefore if you play multiple sounds through that delay, it kind of just stacks them on top of each other. So say for example that I have this sound here, where I have a delay tail that stretches for all of this time with 100% feedback. What I wanted to do in this case is, for example, add a little bit of a frequency shift. You can see the frequency shift sitting on top of here, just adding a little bit of a rising effect to that delay. What would happen if I started here and played it a couple of times is that we would get the same sound kind of on top of each other with 100% feedback, kind of mixing in multiple times, because the buffer for the delay does not get cleared. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a delay that I can just plop in here, and every time I play, it also resets the buffer. Now to reset the buffer of a delay, especially in Ableton with the delays that we have in Ableton, the way that you do that is just to turn it off and then back on again. And that is where this rack comes in. You can see it over here. This is a rack that hosts a delay, which can be filtered and volume automated with this utility here, and that allows you to control the level of the actual delay. You can see the feedback is at 100 and the dry wet is at 100 because this is a dry wet chain. So that means that you can control the actual level of your delay tail over time. So for example here you can see I'm going down a little bit and then back up, and then later I'm going down over time right up until this moment here. Now the way that this rack works is that here you have this big button here. This is the button that you map to from the other controller. So you go from here, you map to the button, you can see all of the instances of buttons in here. This is the button that I actually map to. Then there's this whole detector stage in this audio effect rack. There's a signal bypass that just allows you to have the signal come through. And then there's the detection stage right here. This is made up of an envelope follower, which looks in the incoming signal. We have an ADSR, which takes the incoming signal, uses it as a trigger to generate a very short event. You can see 5 milliseconds of event here, and then it goes back to 0 sustain. So that's like a very short spike. And we use that spike to reset the delay. So I'm doing a little bit of math here with this other button, this fader, and then this select. But we're essentially making it so that both this ADSR as well as this button can turn on and off the delay. What this means is that anytime a sound is played before the delay, it is quickly switched off and then back on again, resetting the buffer. So you will never have the problem of a 100% feedback delay, where if you play it multiple times, it will just layer on top of each other because every time the buffer gets cleared. And this is just very nice when producing, because that means that I can just play around with these levels and audition it and listen to how it sounds without having to worry about not hearing exactly what the delay is going to do in the final render, because I'm listening to some sum of multiple kind of playthroughs. You can hear how it stays as one clean sound even if I play it multiple times. So now I want to show you a few examples of the things that you can actually do with it. The very first example is this vocal here. Here you can see the gain that I'm using for the delay that I have here. And you can see that this is a vocal that is just sitting in here, and the delay is going down, 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 and then back up again. And you will hear that there's some kind of rising effect towards the end here, which is actually coming from this delay. Another good example is what is happening with this saw step here. You can see normally the saw step is just kind of delaying out here, but here I wanted it to fade in. So we have it delaying out and then it comes back. You can hear the little fade in that comes right before this part here. Now it might seem very complicated and maybe a little bit overkill to have a delay setup like this, but to me what it allows me to do is it allows me to be a lot more surgical with the delays that I want to use. I can set exact volumes of what the delay should be at any point in time instead of having to guess how loud the delay is going to be with the feedback knob. It also means that I get cleaner mixes because there's less chance of a delay kind of ringing out into a section where it's not supposed to be. For example, this sound here, normally what would happen is I would put on a delay, give it a massive bit of feedback, and then, I don't know, maybe it would ring out up until here, maybe it would ring out up until here, maybe up until here. There wasn't really a good way to control it with just the feedback. With this volume, however, as you can see, I can set exactly where I want the delay to end and how loud I want it to be at any point in time. So I can be a lot more precise with my delays. So this whole setup really has two big benefits. One, it has allowed me to think a lot more about what my delays are doing. I'm a lot more precise into setting up my delays. I'm forced to be if I want to use this workflow. But it also comes with the added benefit of when you pause, that the delay just stops. And you don't have to worry about it continuously kind of playing through and stuff like that. It's automatically resetting for the new sound, so there's no delay tail from the old sound that still influences the new sound. If we look again at this example here, say that this sound were to delay out up until this point here, then it's not finished delaying here and a new sound already plays. In this case it becomes 100% clean because it automatically resets anytime a new sound plays. Now I do have to give a little bit of a disclaimer in the sense that I haven't fully tested it out yet. This is something that I made just this afternoon and I wanted to go through it as soon as possible so that it still was fresh in my mind. So there might be some kinks in the system that still need to be worked out, but as I'm continuing to use it, I will hopefully find those things and I will keep you guys updated if there are any problems with it. I will maybe update the patch itself on my Patreon. So if you're seeing this video far into the future, then there should be maybe an updated version. Unless it just works, then there's no need. So that's everything that I wanted to cover regarding these two devices. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it interesting. Let me know if you did by leaving a like. And if you're new here and you're interested in seeing more of this stuff, then make sure that you're subscribed. But that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.